Hi, everybody. This is Macro Monday 10. For those of you that have missed our previous sessions, you can get a recording by emailing me, and I'll send it off to you. So just to recap what we've covered so far. So we've been trying to create healthy habits every month. I think we started in March. So if you've been following since March, you should have been trying to put these things in place. So our first habit is eating your meals at regular times, and breakfast, lunch, and dinner at the same time every day at reasonable times, like breakfast time between 7:30 and 8:30 at the latest, lunch time between 11:30 and 1, dinner time between 5 and 7 at the very latest, and not having any food 3 hours before going to bed. That allows your body to heal and to recuperate and recharge for the next morning. So I guess those two those two aspects are one habit, but it's a huge habit because it involves trying to regulate yourself and to change other things in your life. A lot of things have to change in your life in order to eat meals on time. So it takes quite a while to make that habit second nature. And you'll find that if you do that, your metabolism will change, your sleep patterns will change, your endocrine system will change if you've had any menstrual irregularities, or any thyroid problems will often improve just by adhering to three meals a day at regular times without even making any drastic changes to your diet. Although we recommend making changes to your diet, of course. And the 3 hours before going to bed is often very difficult for people, especially if they suffer from hypoglycemia or low blood sugar, so that people can't fall asleep unless they feel satisfied or full. That just means that your blood sugar is too high at night, and it'll take some time to regulate it. So the goal is to move towards not having anything to eat for at least 3 hours before going to bed, and don't be too hard on yourself. So then the next thing that goes hand in hand with regular meals and not eating late at night is waking up early and going to bed early. So it's really important to get to be sound asleep between 11 p.m. and 2 in the morning. That's when you should have your deepest sleep, and that's when your body recharges best. Okay, so if you're going to sleep after 11 o'clock and after midnight, you're going to not feel so great in the morning. You're not going to be able to wake up early most of the time. And if you do wake up early, you're not going to be getting enough sleep. So by waking up early, you'll be able to go to bed early. So it's another habit that you should try to incorporate. Again, it helps with regulating your cycles, helps with your metabolism, helps with weight loss, all kinds of things. And we'll talk about that a little bit more in depth at the end of this session. And then the other habit is taking a half-hour walk every day. This is kind of minimum exercise on top of just your daily walking to and fro, up and down the stairs, housework, yard work, everything else that goes on. And as well as the half-hour walk every day, we recommend Do-in, which is a light meridian massage. So like gently tapping all along your meridians from the top of your head right down to your toes, and doing the body scrub on a daily basis once, ideally twice a day, by taking a dry cloth a little bit bigger than a hand towel, and or bigger than about a hand towel size, dipping it into hot water from the tap with a stop sink, wringing it out, and then scrubbing your body until it becomes pink. It's okay if it doesn't become pink, and don't scrape skin off. But you do that every day to open up your pores and to allow toxins to release through your skin. In the beginning, your skin might become a little dry, but over time, it will become soft again. And then the meridian stretch, which we've talked about, which is a simple stretch that allows you to kind of engage all of your meridians in order to unblock them. And then we discussed the latest habit we discussed at length is being prepared by soaking your grains and beans and preparing your lunch for the next day, today. So after you have dinner, you pack up your lunch so it's ready to go. And keep your pantry well stocked, making extra time during the week to make pickles or condiments, mochi, roast your seeds, and so on. So these are just like habits that you can start trying to incorporate in order to make the transition to a macrobiotic diet smoother and to help you maintain it so that it doesn't become, you can't make it so hard or do it, decide to start cooking like a 5-course macrobiotic meal at 5 o'clock when you get home after a day's hard work. You have to plan ahead and support yourself and, so on. So over time, you create these habits, you become more adept and better at cooking, and as your condition stabilizes and you don't have big mood swings or blood sugar swings, you'll be able to practice macrobiotics much easier than when you're still suffering from hypoglycemia and other kind of imbalances that require you to have, coffee, sugar, alcohol to even you out. So once you even yourself out naturally, these habits would be easier to maintain. Okay. So tonight we're going to talk about eating out, and for some reason I wasn't able to put a presentation up on the screen. I don't know why. So why do we eat out? Well, we eat out because it's delicious, because we want somebody else's cooking, because maybe our cooking isn't satisfying enough. We eat out often for social reasons, like if you want to get together with people, it's often over dinner, over lunch. Sometimes you eat out because you don't have time to cook and you just have to grab something, otherwise you'll starve. Or maybe you miss the old food that you've given up. Okay, so eating out satisfies that need to connect with your past eating habits. Sometimes it's just can't be bothered cooking. Sometimes you're just too stressed out. So those are all different reasons for eating out. And without making a judgment on, passing judgment, you have to kind of be prepared, because it's so easy to stop cooking, you eat out, you don't have food prepared for the next day, and then you kind of go, you kind of get into this vicious habit of not, you just kind of slide, and then it takes like 4 or 5 days to get back with the program. So first of all, if you eat out, don't be hard on yourself, and think about it. So if you have to eat out for a social occasion, plan ahead. Often now, unless I'm going to somebody's home who prepares macrobiotic food or something, vegetarian food or something similar, I make sure that I bring a dish that I can eat and share with other people, or, eat before I go so I don't end up eating things that I don't necessarily want to eat. At this stage, it's usually maybe there won't be anything for me to eat, so I make sure that I eat ahead of time. Okay, so if you're eating out because you don't like the taste of your food, or you find that eating out is much more delicious, then really you need to take some cooking classes from a good macrobiotic cook and learn how to make your food delicious. Once in a while you crave something different, or you crave like a nice plate of spaghetti or some Japanese food that's difficult to make at home, and that's fine. But if you find that your food isn't satisfying enough, then brush up on your cooking, make more time, or take some cooking classes. You may just be eating way too simply, or maybe having the same thing over and over again, so that you're craving something, something else. You're just not satisfied. If you don't have, again, the same thing. If you don't have time to cook, it's probably not true that you don't have time to cook. It's just that you haven't made the time. And I know that sounds, I don't mean to be judgmental, but you have to make time to cook. And it doesn't take that long to cook if you've got food prepared. We've discussed if you have food prepared in the refrigerator, you have cooked rice or cooked noodles and some cooked beans, some tofu on hand, and make sure you have, you're stocked up on your vegetables. It doesn't take that long to put a meal together that's satisfying and delicious. Okay, if you're missing your old food, like if you find that this is kind of the same point as you're eating out because your food doesn't taste good, everything else is delicious. If you're missing your old food, again, you have to really look at how you're preparing macrobiotic food. It's natural to miss old food and to take some time to transition. But if it lasts too long, you're just sabotaging yourself and you're not moving forward. So take a look at that, and maybe it requires some brushing up, some cooking classes or something along those lines. Okay, so when you do eat out, though, because it's important to eat out from time to time for social reasons, etc. When you do eat out, then what to look out for? danger, or pitfalls or things that might not make you feel so great after you've eaten them. So when you eat out, usually the food is prepared with more oil and maybe poor quality oil. So if you can eat at really expensive restaurants, or just find out ahead of time, or see if you can choose where to eat. You can eat at a more healthy style restaurant. But if not, just avoid things that have too much oil in them and be careful because sometimes it's poor quality oil, and depending on your condition, you can suffer from indigestion or cramps or something afterwards. Salt, usually when you eat out, they use way more salt than what you're used to at home, and also the quality of the salt is not the same. So once in a while it's okay, but if you make a habit of eating out all the time, you're getting poor quality salt, poor quality oil, and that'll clog up your system, and it'll defeat, your attempts at healing yourself. Sugar is also something else to watch out for. It's often hidden in places where you least expect it, in sauces, um, things like stir fries, unless you know what the restaurant that, if you really know the cook and so on. But sugar is often hidden in everything. So be very wary of sauces or mixed up food or mishmashes of food. And then there'll be sugar, there'll be oil, there'll be too much salt. Animal food as well. So if you go to a restaurant and you have soup, sometimes the stock is made with chicken or with beef. So be wary of that. I don't have soups when I eat out because I've been caught so many times. I end up going home and not feeling well, and then discovering that the stock was made with chicken. And that may even happen in Japanese restaurants if you get certain dishes that have sauces in them. They're made with animal food, and I mean it affects me. So I don't usually order soups when I'm in a restaurant. Also, soups can have dairy, butter, other things hidden in it that the waiter may not necessarily know that it's in there. Um, Risotto will often have chicken stock. Be wary of that, unless they explicitly say that it's a vegan risotto. But that's kind of a oxymoron. GMO products aren't necessarily going to be advertised, or you're not going to be aware of them in restaurants. And of course, non-organic, unless you're in a restaurant that uses all organic food, then the prices would be exorbitant, but not organic. And sometimes foods, especially in fast food places, the food is prepared off-site or it's made from mixes. So if you think you're having, this happened to me at work, that I was getting soup in the cafeteria because it said it was vegetable soup with no animal food in it, and I was eating it and then not feeling very well after. I felt like my whole esophagus was really itchy. This went on for a while. Finally, I asked the kid that worked who made the soup because it also became obvious to me that there was no stove in this cafeteria. And he said, "Oh no, the soups come in a mix, so they add hot water to the soups." Yeah, and as it turned out, there was a lot of garbage in the soup and a lot of preservatives. So I stopped eating in the cafeteria. So watch out for that. And again, soups, they can hide anything in soups. So if where to eat out, okay, if you have good quality vegan or vegan restaurants, vegetarian restaurants, good quality Japanese restaurants, or Korean, um, Thai restaurants. Um, I'm not really that familiar with Thai food, but the times that I've been there, it's really hard to choose off the menu because everything seems to be like pad Thai has sauce in it, and I don't know what exactly goes in there. And their curries and things like that are suspicious to me. It doesn't mean that necessarily they are, but I just always very wary. Italian food, but you have to watch out if you're gluten intolerant or gluten sensitive because not farro and spelt pastas are also have gluten in them. So sometimes they'll have spelt pasta instead of or as an option instead of wheat pasta, but that has gluten. So be careful of that. But Italian restaurants also use a lot of oil. Once in a while, it's okay. You can get a nice salad or a piece of fish and a pasta dish without animal food. Pubs, okay, that's a place where you go and socialize to have a beer with your friends. But pub food is a little bit too far out. I don't know what you can get at a pub. Salad, maybe. French fries. I don't know if any pubs these days have vegan options. They might, but I found that everything is deep fried. Everything has cheese, and it feels like a lot of their stuff has MSG and other preservatives in it, so you don't feel so great after. Even eating the French fries, I always find that I get cankers in my mouth. Steakhouses, I I don't go to steakhouses at all. Can't think of the last time. I recall that even the salads in steakhouses tasted like they were barbecued, and the dressings are way too rich. So I guess you get a plain salad, but what's the point? Fish restaurants, I suppose if there's any, but I would avoid like they still have the Red Lobster or those kind of fast food fish places, fish and chips, and go for if you're going out for dinner, if you can order, um, you know, a broiled or steamed or poached nice piece of fish along with your vegetables. That's okay. But you have to know the restaurant and you have to know who's making the food. When it comes to banquets and weddings and things like that, you can always eat around. That's what I do. You eat the salad, you eat the roasted vegetables. Sometimes they'll have nice appetizer options. Just some smoked salmon, olives, crudités, etc. So that's not so bad. You can feel satisfied with sort of the side dishes at banquets or weddings or things like that. So eating out, you should. It's not that you should. I'm not suggesting that you not eat out. Eating out is part of socializing and part of living in our world. So it's important to eat out. Just be very careful because it's a slippery slope, right? You start eating out, and it's like, oh, this isn't so bad, and it's very tasty, and you eat out at lunchtime, it's a bit too tasty, and then you don't feel hungry for dinner because the food at lunchtime was too rich, and so then you don't have a proper dinner, and then maybe you eat later at night because you've eaten at lunchtime. You just have to watch it that it doesn't throw you off your your routine, because especially when you're starting to develop these habits, it's easy to go off track. But if you go off track, don't worry about it. It's like not the end of the world, and we've all been there. And I wanted to give you because I couldn't put presentation on the screen. I want to give you a recipe for a remedy called umesho kuzu. It's umeboshi, soy sauce, and kuzu powder. You can find all these ingredients at the health food store. So umeboshi plums are little Japanese salted plums. You can use soy sauce or tamari or wheat-free tamari. And kuzu is a wild arrowroot. Actually, it's not from the arrowroot family, but it's a wild root. It grows everywhere. It's kind of a weed that infests in the south. But so the Japanese have taken that root of that, the kuzu plant, and process it, and it turns into this medicinal, starchy powder that we use to help make your quality more alkaline. So you take a cup of water, a teaspoon of kuzu, 1/2 to 1 whole umeboshi plum, and you mince it. You take it off the pit and you mince the flesh, and a few drops of soy sauce or tamari, which is wheat-free soy sauce. So you dissolve the kuzu in a couple of tablespoons of cold water, and then you place the rest of the water in a pot over the stove, and you put in the dissolved kuzu and you stir, and you bring it up to a boil, and then you continue stirring until the water becomes translucent. Then you add your minced umeboshi plum, let it cook for another minute, and then you take it off, pour it into a cup, and add a couple of drops of soy sauce or tamari, and you drink that while hot, and that will settle any kind of indigestion and will restore, your intestines pretty quickly, and you'll feel better. If you have umesho kuzu is good for acid reflux, acid indigestion. It's good. It's a good hangover cure if you've had too much to drink and you feel off with a hangover, headache, or intestines. It's good for diarrhea. It's good for people with colitis or any kind of Crohn's, colitis, those kinds of problems. Um, what else is it good for? It's good for the immune system. It's good for autoimmune diseases. Anyway, without getting into a whole, whole array, Umishokuzu is good if you feel off, and that's usually caused by eating out and drinking a little bit too much. Okay. Okay. Any questions about that? About eating out? You can ask me at the end, I suppose, when I turn it into discussion. Okay, and then I want to talk to you briefly about the benefits of sleep, because I was listening to the radio and I didn't catch the name of the book, but apparently there's a new book out telling us the benefits of sleeping. So apparently, North Americans don't sleep enough, and it's causing all kinds of problems: reduced productivity, more accidents, tiredness, irritability, depression. Apparently, it's a big cause of all kinds of problems. And they've been saying for a long time that, because of our busy, stressful lives and work and household responsibilities and children and after school activities and on, that people's sleep suffers. So it's important to make sure that you get enough sleep and not too much sleep, but you'll know how to regulate that. There seems to be um, varying opinions as to what constitutes enough sleep. But once you change to a healthy diet, you'll know when you've had enough sleep, and you know what it feels like if you slept too much. That may happen from time to time because of something that you've done the day before, or you've worked really, really hard and haven't had enough sleep, and you know, the next night 8 hours might be enough sleep, which is maybe way longer than you normally sleep, but that's enough sleep for that night. And another, your normal number of hours is say 7 hours. That's okay. You'll know when you're eating well and you've got lots of energy through the day what constitutes enough sleep for you. Okay, so if you've had enough sleep, you wake up in the morning awake, refreshed, alert. You have your bowel movement right away, and you can get on with your day smoothly. That's having had enough sleep. You know the difference between having had too much sleep when you're groggy and you can't get going because of too much sleep, or not enough sleep where you're sleep deprived and you feel washed out and you can't you're just tired of catching up all day long. So, I leave it to your intuition to know the difference. So it's important to create, it goes back to eating your meals on time, not eating for 3 hours before you go to bed, making sure you go to bed early enough, and then getting up early in the morning. Once you develop that habit, you'll know the difference between optimum energy and feeling like a drag, okay? Feeling like you're dragging yourself all day. But along with proper sleep, you get all kinds of other benefits other than just not feeling tired. It improves your memory. Apparently, we've done studies, so people that are sleep deprived, their memory suffer, and they've done all kinds of tests with this. Um, it improves longevity if you're getting just the right amount of sleep. So too much sleep and too little sleep, both of them have an impact on longevity. Now, when I read these studies, you have to go, okay, people people that live longer have better sleep. So people that have better sleep are probably not sick people. So you have to watch these studies because they can be a bit silly. So if you're ill, well, from a macrobiotic perspective, if you're not sleeping properly, it's a sign of imbalance. If you let that imbalance go on too long, then illness will come from that, right? So already, if you're not sleeping properly, you're moving towards ill health. So you got to get your sleeping under control. But in order to get your sleeping under control, you have to get your meals under control. You have to get your exercise under control. You have to wake up early and so on, right? There's a lot of things that go along with helping you get proper sleep. So telling people on the news that they should sleep more isn't really helpful, right? Because so much has to change in order to have proper night's sleep. Okay. Apparently, if you have enough sleep, it reduces inflammation in the body, and people with heart disease and blood pressure and diabetes and things like that really benefit from proper sleep. In macrobiotics, we say that healing happens at night. So if you're having proper sleep between 10:30, say 10:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, 6:30 in the morning, you're getting enough sleep. If you're getting sleep where you're not digesting food during your sleep, but you're actually your body finished digesting and it can use all its energy to heal you, um, inflammation will be reduced. We know that. We already know this. So these studies are a bit silly. It improves creativity. It reduces stress. And that's the stress reduction is self-evident because the fact that you're sleeping means that you have less stress. Sleeping does not allow you to create more stress, right? You've recharged yourself, so your stress isn't accumulating day after day. It reduces depression. It reduces accidents, and when we change, the time changes every year. There's all kinds of accidents. That's because sleep is disrupted. Your mind is more focused. You have clearer thinking. It improves your physical performance if you have to perform physically, if you're an athlete if you're exercising, your practice will improve, whatever your practice is, if you've had enough sleep and you feel refreshed. It helps you learn. And also, the saying, sleep on it. If you have a problem, if you have a question, they say, oh, if you sleep on it, the answer will come. Apparently, that's been shown to be true in actual studies. And so in macrobiotics, we also talk about dreams a little bit. And if you have good sleep and you're eating really well, you shouldn't have dreams. You shouldn't have crazy dreams, broken up dreams, and we can do a whole session on dreams. So if you're dreaming, you're not sleeping properly. So you shouldn't dream. You shouldn't have dreams unless they're a real dream or unless they solve a problem or like they warn you or tell you something that happened. So those are called true dreams in macrobiotics, anyways, in our philosophy. So if you're dreaming, it's because you're imbalanced, and we can get into dreams another time. Okay, so that's it for tonight, and I'm going to put it on discussion mode. I'm going to stop the recording, and if anybody wants a copy of this video, I'll send it to you. Just email me. Okay, good night. But stay tuned. I'm just going to stop the recording.